Welcome to Web Manga, I am Adrian Manga, and welcome to Solo Leveling Chapter 122. First thing to get out of the way, I'm not wearing my sunglasses, I just can't find them, that's the reason why. So, if I'm just looking around if you see my eyes just darting around the room, that's what I normally do, it's just I have my sunglasses. So, let's get started. This chapter just starts off with Sung Jin-woo going into a A-rank gate by himself with a summons, and just to it's just basically the starting of his guild. It's his guild's first real raid ever since Go just basically allowed to tweak the rules slightly to let Sung Jin-woo basically raid by himself, which I say what he did was pretty smart, because it's not directly changing anything, it's just bending, it is preferential treatment what Go did for Sung Jin-woo, it's not as blatant as say, oh, he can go by himself, it's just like, summons can count, so with him, it's clear that say, anybody could notice, oh, so it's a guy who has like all these summons, and like this guy who just recently showed up and is really goddamn powerful, and showed up with all these and who can summon a lot of creatures. And also there's been a rule added in that allows summoned creatures to be counted as raid teams. It can be obvious, but it's not it's a rule added, not really altering anything, it's just adding to something, not taking something away. That's how I think of what he did. Then we go, it's basically Sung Jin-woo's friend, who I can never remember the name of. He basically just came to the raid with a Viking helmet and like a little bit of armor. He's just like, whoa, this is a pretty big gate, probably really tough. And like Sung Jin-woo is thinking, I wonder how he would act if he saw like the gate in Byung, I think it was called, like that, the part of I think it was another city where they had, where the undead gate was, yeah, that thing was pretty big, it's probably bigger than this one, and I actually really like this chapter. It doesn't do much in this chapter, I'm just gonna get my thoughts out of the way, nothing really happened, it's just mainly showing people, it's really his first raid as a guild by himself, just going in by himself. He's just, it's Sung Jin-woo, what do you think is gonna happen? He's floors the entire place. Since he's done it multiple times, it's not really that big of a deal, unless at the end of the chapter. It's an alright action chapter, and it's an alright setup chapter. Like at the end, it's a pretty big setup for probably the next big arc, which I actually quite like and I was really interested in. Which that should be how you write something, a good hook at the end to really set something up. It was pretty good to have like these school, wait, is there any real name for that arc? Like I'll just call it the school massacre arc, but that was a really good arc. It was a little short. I say it could have been a little bit longer, but it's just like, yeah, it was a massacre at a school. You can't I bet the guy was really just bringing it out as long as he could. He was trying to make it long enough so it has enough build up, but also keeping it short enough that it's not that untasteful. Because personally I say you could have like Sung Jin-woo keep taking a lot longer, like there could have been, like the whole thing it kind of felt a little rushed to me, but it was an alright arc. Just a small arc, not as big as Jeju Island, or say when Tusk's Orc showed up, but it's an alright arc. I just say alright. I say it's pretty good. It's alright for the length, but I said it could have been better if it would have been built up more. Like the orcs kidnap people, and you had to go into the dungeon and save people. I do not read like the light novel, so I don't know. Maybe that did happen in the light novel, but I don't really know. It's just like, to get back to the chapter, it's just like loads of reporters are just like really wanting to see what the hell is going on. Like Sung Jin-woo the guy who cleared the Jeju Island, who cleared Jeju Island basically by himself, has now founded a guild with a celebrity and has been allowed to go on raids basically he can go on raids by himself. I understand where these people are coming from, but they are kind of, and plus that Instagram post didn't really help much, so it's alright. Like, yeah, definitely people would want the big scoop because he's pretty damn big at the moment. And it's even brought up that, yeah, we can help you out with privacy, but really we can't help where the gate is. We can help you with your personal privacy, but we don't control where the gates show up, so you're gonna have to go places where gates are. And the reporters can figure out, if they just get the right information, where you're gonna go. So that makes sense why they're there. And yeah, they also have to like make sure that all the summons are strong enough. So like, I think this guy's like the highest A rank we know. I don't think he's like S rank at all. Not at all. Well, something brings up. I thought this guy was like a high A rank, but at a point in this chapter it makes me think, could he be like one of the other S class that we haven't met yet? Like, I can't quite remember what number exactly we've seen of S classes, but we know 3 are gone, like 1's in America, 2 have died, so that only leaves like 7 in there, including Sanjun and definitely Char. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but I'll definitely look it up later. I'll put it down here, the number that we've seen, and maybe this guy is the missing S class. And it's just like, he has to check the summons to make sure they're at least B rank, and it needs to qualify to be a raid team, because you need the right amount of numbers. Sungju has the numbers, he just needs like the level of strength. Like, they just have to check them all out. It's all been mentioned that they're all at least B, even the weakest ones are just B rank, which is really high in general. Which I'd have to say, it's not the worst rank, but it's still pretty up there. Like, if you met a normal A rank, met a B rank, compared to like a normal person, a B rank would probably be pretty powerful. And then you got like, basically this guy is complaining like, why do people even complain about this? Yeah, it's preferential treatment, but a guy this powerful able to do with all these powerful summons is basically, he is a one-man raid team, so he can basically do all this by himself. But this guy has to go in, I forget his name, I think his name's Wu, I'm just gonna call him Wu. And like, he has to go in basically as like, hey, I need to go in, we've done as much as we can, we just need somebody to have a look at you in a dungeon and just be like, see if you're skilled, if you're able to. Like, he believes Sungju was perfectly fine, but he just needs to confirm it to make sure other people definitely know, yeah, he's definitely fine by himself. Although, I do like what he does. He like coats himself in armor, and he looks pretty cool. Like, he still has like his regular shirt on and wearing a tie, though he's just like coated in armor. Like, he's still wearing normal clothes, it's just got like, not heavy armor, it's just like armor covering parts of his body. Not his whole body, it's just like 75% of his body, I'd have to say. He's not like wearing, it's got like gaps all through it, so it's quite fine. And then we have one of the best parts of the chapter where this guy's just like, Sungju was like, are you sure that you really need to come? And he's like, yeah, I need to go. And then like, we see a little later, I'm trying to get this face like, it's very hard for, it's a very cartoonish face, I can't quite get it right with my own faces, but it's like, why am I even here? That's the face I get, like, why am I even here? What's the point of me being here? It's basically, this gate is like a underwater gate, but not with water everywhere. It's like an underground sea cave, the best way I can describe it. It's got like full of nagas, which I really like the design of these nagas, and it's like, they're really monstrous fish people, like with snake tails and like they're using tridents, and like even like the lower ranking knights, which I'd have to say are like Sun Jinwoo's weakest soldiers, but I have to say the orcs and the knights are around the same level, but the orcs are a little bit higher. Like this is how Sun Jinwoo's ranks go. You go the knights at the bottom, then you got the orcs, and then I think like the bears are around the same level as the orcs. Let me think. The ants are above the orcs, and then you got like Sun Jinwoo's commanders, which are Iron, Egress, Beerur. Well, Kai'Sail's a mount, so he's not really used that much as a fighting unit, so he doesn't count as really a lieutenant. Let's see. Who are the other ones? Tank, Tusk. Also, his tank's generals are around, so those guys are probably useful. Are probably like the highest regular units. It's like Sun Jinwoo didn't name them, but they're really just, they're like the lowest commanders, I'd have to say. The lowest commanders. I'm trying to figure out all the other units. Like, I'd have to say that the rankings go that way. Like, Beerur is like his right-hand man, like Sun Jinwoo's right-hand man, and he just deals with all this stuff. And to get back to the artwork, I love this series for the artwork, and what I've heard is basically this is where solo leveling ramps up. In this series, I just have so many mysteries I want figured out. Like, I want to figure out what's going on. Like, it's setting up mysteries that, like, beginning of Season 2. That was awesome. Unfortunately, I had to take down the video. Wait, did I? I definitely had to take down 2 videos, and because of copyright strikes, and that I hated that. But get back to the chapter. It is basically a massacre chapter with just Naga, and these Naga are all A rank, so they're just like below being S rank. So it's just like the Tusk is just blows up one head. Iron is just swinging his battle axe, and the ants and the lower ranking units are kind of like teaming up on some Nagas and just tearing them apart. Like, we get to see one of Tusk's generals. He's like the most generic general. There's like, I like Tusk 3 generals. Those are some of my favorites. Like, you got the Cloak general, which I'd have to say is my favorite one looking, and then you have like the Knight general, which those 2 are my favorites out of Tusk's generals. But then you just got like the regular bearded orc, which I don't really mind, but I don't really hate. It's just like, this guy is basically, throughout this whole chapter, like, the guy who came along is basically, yeah, I have to see this and I have to like verify it. Like, they'll trust me to like give you I have to give every single detail of this. Basically, the details come down to he's fine. He massacred the entire dungeon. Like, we see Beerur just rip off the head of a Naga, and Beerur, I believe, like, what Beerur does is, like, he's always going for the head. I had to like I just noticed it recently. I looked around and like, I started noticing, why does he keep going for the head? Like, I went back to read Jeju Island, and he's always going for the head. He's always decapitated his opponents. Maybe it's just like, he thinks that's the easiest way to deal with them, just take off the head. And it's actually pretty smart, because like, take off the head is probably the quickest way to deal with an opponent. I'd have to say, Beerur, when I figured out that he did it when he was alive and dealt with all the other S-class hunters, yeah, it makes sense. Just go for the head. And it's just like, this guy's blown away on how powerful Sun Jinwoo is. He knew he was powerful. I'm not saying he wasn't thinking it. He definitely knew he was powerful. And he was like one of the few people that was actually going, yeah, this guy's strong. We need to really look at this guy's power. We need to get him on our side. Like, he definitely respects him, but this chapter just shows how unbelievably powerful it is. And although this chapter does kind of reveal that, yeah, these troops are so strong because they regenerate, because they can't really be killed, but they can still deal with the knot. They can just keep going while these opponents, they're around the same strength, but still being able to take on, being swarmed by a whole bunch of regenerating people that, yeah, you can take on, but yeah, you could outrank them, but then you could be around the same strength, but if you can't get rid of your opponents, it's kind of a losing battle, I'd have to say. And one thing I have to say, he singles out Egress as one of the best regenerators, I'd have to say. well, I don't know if it's regenerated, but he singles out Egress. I'd have to say Egress is third in command. Like, Beeroo is Sung Jin-woo's right-hand man, but Egress is like Sung Jin-woo's most reliable. Like, when the first person he calls, like, it's tied between Egress and Beeroo, who's Sung Jin-woo's right-hand men. They're like the people who Sung Jin-woo would rely on the most. And, well, he still has the Demon King sword. Like, it wasn't just like a temporary power-up to deal with Char. Sung Jin-woo gave it to Egress, basically, yeah, you can keep the sword. I'm not really a sword guy, I just use daggers. And he still does use the Demon King's daggers, but he doesn't use the Demon King's sword because he's basically an assassin, while Egress is more a straight-on knight. And this sword is amazing. It's basically, yeah, lightning. And it's explained that lightning magic is pretty high ranked. Very high ranked. It's only like the highest ranked mages can use it. But this guy is just... Egress just runs through all these Nagas, and I love these designs of Nagas. I love all the designs of the monsters. The orcs, I'm glad Sung Jin-woo didn't res them, because he already has like a whole bunch of more powerful orcs. Okay, I'm gonna get to what I think the category is for Sung Jin-woo resurrecting his opponents later in the chapter. It's just, keep going, I'll get to the end. It's just like the scene of like Egress just swinging a sword, and like there are like, I think like a dozen Nagas, and they're just like ready to attack with their tridents. And you see like all these slash marks that glowing in the air one scene, and then in the next it's just like a big explosion. And like they mentioned that Egress is already an S-class fighter, so like he's on the par with S-class. I think like the highest A rank that he has, I think is Iron, but like Iron, I'd have to say, if he wasn't such a unique design, it would probably be just one of the fodder soldiers, because I don't think he's as powerful as like Sung Jin-woo's right-hand men. Like Tusk is definitely more powerful, and yeah, they're incredibly powerful. Like he's right, but like the people you trust is Egress and Beeroo. Now let's see, and this kind of makes me retroactively look back at the ants in the previous chapters, basically being, so you weren't thinking that you were just eating the monsters. I thought the ants in the previous chapter, oh, they were eating the undead, so that means that the undead, they knew that it was going to resurrect. No, they were just eating the undead. That just makes me think the ants are way stupider. Now, I thought they were a lot smarter when I thought, oh, they were eating the undead so they wouldn't resurrect. No, they're just eating it. They just eat it. And plus, they're undead. Why do they need to eat? And it's probably... I have bets that this is the same ant that attacked the chick who was trying to stop him from eating the vampire. I know it's this exact ant. Although there isn't a real distinctive features. I know it's this ant. I know it's the same ant. In my headcanon, it's the same ant. And then like Sung Jin-woo said, oi, don't eat that, and just punch it into the wall. Most of the corpses are expensive. He just does, and he basically says, hey, keep mining. We're gonna head to the boss. You keep mining, you take all the monster corpses out, you mine all the magic crystals, and then we'll be going. And he's like, this is, and like the guy who came with is like, oh, Wu is basically, he's able to basically clear A-rank dungeons. He's basically his own mining team, he's his own raid team basically. He can collect monster corpses, he can get the crystals, and he can deal with the monsters. So he's got all three fronts really fine. Unlike the other guilds, he can do it really quick, get the dungeon cleared, and he doesn't really need to worry about anything. Then we get to see the boss of the dungeon. It's just like this massive Naga with like these tridents. Since it's an A-rank dungeon, this is probably like an S-class level creature. Like, it's mentioned that at the end of the chapter that that's as powerful as Tusk, so that's pretty cool. And then like Sung Jin-woo just gets rid of all the shadows that aren't working, like getting rid of the corpses and sorry about that, aren't getting rid of the corpses and really just mining. So he can just deal with it, and he's like, and the reason that he gives is, if I rely on my shadows too much, I'm gonna get rusty. Although he's level 100, I don't think you can't level down, which basically another guy, the guy who I watched react to this chapter, I just like watching reactions of chapters that I read just to see what other people think of it. I just have to say, yeah, you can't level down, and like he summons like one of the Demon King's daggers. Well, he summons both of them, but we only get to see one. He jumps forward, and like the Naga lunges down with one of it. Oh, yeah, I should mention he has 2 tridents, just lunging down, throws it towards him, and then just splits his head in half. Like, it's like that. And it's pretty good, it's real quick, just showing how much more powerful he is. He's definitely nation rank. He can deal with S-class level monsters like this. And he's killed the dungeon boss, so the dungeon's probably gonna collapse soon. And then, like, he gets a level up. He levels up in this chapter. He becomes 101, which is pretty good, so now he's level 101. I heard from this point on it's like gonna be a little bit harder for him to like level up. Like he's still gonna have to do the daily requirements, but he just needs to level up. And he's probably still doing the daily requirements. He probably just does them like that now. And plus all his skills like get upgraded, like his shadow exchange, his ability to save more undeads, he can raise more undeads, he can make his shadow boost even greater. Which basically means when his shadow exchange, it makes sure that it's cut basically down by an hour. So basically, one more level up needs 2 more level ups to basically get to a sweet point where he doesn't need any recharge time. He can just get to his family if anything happens. Like, he probably does have like shadows with all the people that he cares about. He probably has one with his best friend, he probably has it with his family. Probably has a few on like the people who are, like the S-class hunters. And he's like, and this guy brings up how powerful Nagas are. Like the Wu just says that their scales are strong enough to be used as shield, as armor, as reliable shields and armor for, I'm guessing, higher ranked warriors in dungeons. But just 2 daggers just took them down. And then Sung Jin Woo resurrects the Naga, and I was thinking, wait, why didn't you resurrect, like, guys from the Raid Gate? That would have been awesome. Like, I would have loved to see, like, that huge guy. Like, that huge centaur guy. That was awesome. I loved the design of that guy. I really like the designs of the Nagas, but I don't really... Personally, I would have saved the two-headed ogre, the twin-headed ogre, but... my thing. So it's just like the Naga becomes like all is like with Shadow Exchange, it allows him to basically he can now, I think I understand why he hasn't been adding more creatures to his army. I think he was just waiting to level up, but now the Naga is resurrecting. I don't know if he's like resurrected like a whole bunch of Nagas or this is just one particular Naga. I'm fine with just him having a whole bunch of Nagas as like adding to his army, because like if you ever need to go underwater, these are pretty useful. And like this thing is as powerful as Tusk, but it's noticed that it's a lot smaller than it was just like a few moments ago when it was alive. Like I like the design. It's just like got a really kind of reminds me of actually a shark. Like it's got a bigger. It's kind of like it runs here a great white, like a blue underbelly, and I just really like the design. I liked it alive and I liked it undead. It's just like if Sung Jin Woo basically thinks, it must have been using magic to like make itself bigger, because it's smaller, definitely smaller than when it was alive, and it's considered as powerful as Tusk. So it's definitely going to be like one of his higher ranking guys. It's going to be one of his lieutenants. And I hope he's just like resurrected a whole bunch of Nagas, because I like the design of the Nagas. They were really goddamn cool. And if you ever need them for water battles, like he has like the ants kind of for flight. He has his normal ground units, and now he has the Nagas. So he's got like all front's really, well, he does really need he needs some support, but he is the support. I'm trying to figure out some places that he also needs help in. Like, the water was probably going to be pretty hard because the summons aren't really built to swim, especially the knights. But the Nagas would be pretty useful, although I'd say the giant centaur guy. But I just really like this guy. Like, I really like the design, although it didn't talk. I don't think it was that smart. I mean, he does give it a name. It's Jinna. I think it's Jinna. That's how you say it. And it's definitely a named soldier, so it's gonna be a lieutenant. And then, like, Sung Jin-woo's best friend is just, we've cleared the dungeon, it's all fine, so the dungeon's collapsing, so how are we supposed to get, like, this big corpse out? Like, the corpse is still there, it's just really big. And, like, Sung Jin was thinking, how do I get it out? And he basically does by summoning Tusk and making him grow big to carry it out. Because, yeah, it's kind of a difficult thing to move. Yeah, you could, like, get Biru to just carry it and just get it out there, but it's more, it'd just be easier just to put it over your shoulder and just carry it out like Tusk does. And I love this bit of the chapter. Like, Tusk is just walking out, he's got the boss on his shoulder, and he's just like, everybody's like, run away, no, run away, because, like, our monster's coming out of the gate. Like, probably, like, a few monsters have come out of the gate, like a whole bunch of knights, a whole bunch of orcs, and probably some ants have just been mining, but they just came back out, but nothing this big. It's probably shocking to them. Like, Tusk is looking at the cameras and they're, like, taking pictures of him, until they realize that he's one of Sung Jin-woo or something, that he's like, I guess he's a very much an attention hog. It's just like Sung Jin-woo, Woo is just like, this whole thing is basically being told by his Woo to go to basically be, yeah, he's fine by himself, he doesn't need any help. Just tell everybody else he's fine, just tell them what I've told you. It wasn't a raid, it was a massacre, a one-sided one. It's just like, goes like, yeah, thanks for going, sorry if it was a little traumatizing, but just rest. And then he goes like, my eyes did not betray me that day. He's not a one-man raid team, he's a one-man guild. Like, it's respect. He's probably even more smug now that, oh yes, this guy is staying here if I can keep him happy. Then we cut to, like, Japan and Tokyo, Japan. It's just like, I love this setup because it's like, over Japan, this massive gate. It's probably an S-class gate, which I'm fine with S-class gates, because, and plus Japan is where they lost most of their S-class hunters, so that's pretty bad for them. Like, recently they lost it to another S-class gate, so probably people are just, oh crap. Like, it's red, black-ish. We never really saw what the gate looked like for Jeju Island, but this is a black gate. It's so massive. So it's probably just like a big deal. Plus, to go back to the statue thing, it's alright. We haven't really touched on it, like the statue from like a few chapters from the beginning of this season. We mentioned that we were going back to fight the statue. We probably will at the end of like some chapters. We probably will after like a few arcs, like probably after this arc, in fact. Like, it was like 400 something hours, and that's like definitely a few weeks, I'd have to say. Like maybe a month, like before he could use the gate, use the key to get in there. Like, I'll have to calculate it, but it's definitely gonna be up there. And this is a really good setup. Over Japan, there's just this big black gate. It's probably gonna need, I hope we get like hunters from, say, Australia, maybe like, or China, or maybe Russia. Those are like the countries, I think. Maybe those are like the closest countries, but maybe we could get some from America. Wait, is the West? is the West Coast destroyed, or has it been repopulated? I think the West Coast has been destroyed, but you also have maybe Canada. I'm just coming up with ideas on who can join us for like this raid, because I don't. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you can get away with doing like A and B rank gates by yourself, but not an S class, unless like this could be a good way to introduce like national rank hunters, like meet some new national ranks. Like we know that the leader of the Savage Guild. We know the leader of the Savage Guild is just all that is already known, and that guy who took down like a whole bunch of ants from China. So I definitely want to see those guys. And it's definitely, we need more stuff. I know the statues thing is going to be mentioned, but it's probably going to be at the end of the season. I'm good with any adaptation. I'm just going to go doing adaptation thoughts. But adaptation, I'm going to be fine with it. Because like, Biru was like Sanjuru's biggest threat at the time. And I thought it was a fine ending. But it's just like, I think it could be rushed. Like, I don't think that how the anime studios have been adapting manga, it's alright, it's just a little rushed. Terror God, it was perfectly fine, like it was way too long, but like, got to high school, I say, could have been a little longer. Like, stretch stuff out, a little bit more explanation. Like, I watched the anime, it was alright. It didn't really keep some of the humor that I actually liked from, like, one scene from, like, God of High School I didn't like, that I just really enjoyed from the manga. It's just when they're getting back from the first round of the tournament, and I forget her name, the main female character's name, but she loses her glasses, and the main character comes over with a broken off motorcycle light and just showing it up. In the anime, it's just a torch. I just find it a little bit more effort has been put into it to help her out than just grabbing a torch. And that was basically it. Oh, how summons are going to be collected. Like, I thought definitely you should take the creatures from the Red Gate, but no, he didn't take anything from the Red Gate, but say you could take... Since he took the Naga, he probably only took it because he's probably full of space with all the summons. He's probably been full, and ever since he leveled up, he's probably gotten a whole bunch more room. Like, all his skills have leveled up, so he's probably got a lot more room to, like, fill out his guys. So he probably added the Naga, and probably added, like, a whole bunch of other Nagas to add to his team. Then you have whatever this gate is, which I'm probably saying is probably similar to Jeju Island, but he now has, like, each arc is basically a power-up for him. Like, it's basically the best way I like Senjutsu is that he powers up every single arc, every single big arc, and it's not really the normal power-up. He just powers up by getting, like, more summons. Yeah, he gets stronger and more skilled, but the reason that he's grown so fast so quickly is, I'd have to say, the summons. Like, they're pretty powerful, they level up. Sure, they're not as powerful as the originals, but they're probably even stronger now than when they were alive. Like, I'm saying Egress is stronger than when he was alive, Tank, all the veterans. Like, I'm saying Tusk is probably as powerful, more powerful than when he was alive, and this Naga was probably as powerful as Tusk. Like, this whole gate was probably a clean sweep. It just shows how much more powerful he's gotten. Like, when he first... The Naga in this gate was probably is meant to be as powerful as Tusk. Tusk was like a huge threat. Like, Sanjuru's biggest threat when at the time. And like, you can't deny it was one of the biggest fights he had to have. Like, having a character having a new summon that's as powerful as him, kind of, and just showing that it was a one chapter thing, just shows how much he's grown since then. Yeah, he could take on all these opponents that are incredibly powerful, but now he's even stronger. I love the growth in the series, I have to say. That's why I like it. It's mainly the growth, and the summons, I'd have to say, are my favorite part. Like, if it would have been like a normal anime, if it would have been a normal manga about like, oh, the main character gets stronger after every fight, after every fight, like he's beaten to death, and then he gets stronger because that. No, I hated when Dragon Ball did that. I was just like, really? Yeah, that's basically a Deus Ex Machina. I was able to handle it. It's just like, yeah, you get a power up, alright. I just feel like that's lazy writing. Like, he gets stronger. In the series, like, he is leveling up, he's gaining experience, but he's also getting summons, which are also really powerful. Like, he takes the souls of probably his strongest opponents. Like, I think he doesn't really deal with anybody who's not either a net. He doesn't take anybody from A rank, from B ranks and below. A ranks and above are probably where he's gonna get all the soldiers from. Like the Naga, it was pretty powerful, and I'd love to see like more Nagas because I love the design. It reminded me a lot of Shark, and it's kind of like, I don't feel like it was earned as much as the other ones that was turned into shadows, but I find it fine. Like all the lieutenants, I'm fine with this thing being a lieutenant. And sorry if I've rambled a bit after the chapter, I just needed to get all my thoughts out of the way. And the next review I'll be doing is all the webcomic One Punch Man reviews. And One Punch Man chapters. So that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and this is Web Manga. I am Agent Manga signing.